31 degrees, 28 when I left the house. 30-mile-an-hour winds, mist and rain, and a little bit of sleet, and a little bit of ice. And I come down to the lake just to do an underwater video for you guys. Absolutely just for y'all. Here we go, underwater video. Slick ice. Oh, woo, slick ice. Poor geese. Wow. Oh. Look at that. Okay, we're on the water. That's enough of that. I'm going back to the truck. We'll do the underwater video from the truck. It's just crazy. That's a little raw. I don't know if I proved anything just now except I'm nuts. I did. I came all the way to the lake. I'm on the way to the gym. I'm a 20-mile round trip extra. Just I wanted to come do something. This weather, it's wintertime, and we're having a winter for a change. It didn't start till Christmas, though, and it's almost over. I want to go fishing so bad. I'm just not going to suffer like I used to. I couldn't. When it's this cold, I'm not going to fish anyway. It's ridiculous. It's dangerous. So I'm going to talk about a bait again. I did the Model A yesterday. I'm going to do a bait. I can't believe I'm doing this. And that sounds like a title off of Randy's videos, but this is a true secret, kind of. It's a Ozark tradition that has kind of went away, I feel like. It's the original jerkbait fishing, before the Rogue even. And unfortunately, fishing's changed. I have not done as well on this the last couple springs I came back to fishing. However, 5 years ago, I whacked them good on this. Things have just changed. Maybe my skill level has just changed. Let's just call it at that. So, the bait I'm going to talk about is right here. You know what that is? That is the F-18 Rapala. Look at that. Beautiful clown even. Look at that. Y'all, this bait is special. Or at least it's been special for me. That clown's so pretty. Back in the day, we had the blueback, shad side. We had the gold, blackback, and the blackback silver side. I just grabbed a handful. Nowadays, there's all kinds of cool colors. I guess there are. I don't know. Some of these baits are fairly old. Look at that. Look how beat up that thing is. Surely kind of a lavender back, kind of a trout. Yeah, these things been used. So we're going to talk about them. And maybe it won't be a big deal for y'all, but I think it ought to be, because it's a huge deal for me. It has actually been a secret of mine for a long time. So when jerkbait fishing, the way we fish them now, was invented, it's pretty much agreed it was invented on the Ozark lakes, the White River impoundments of beaver, table rock, and bull shoals. Especially table rock and bull shoals in Taneycomo. And that would have been, early mid-70s. And the bait that you always heard about, and it got forgot quick, was that big F-18 Rapala. Big old thing. Now, I say big because modern swim baits have kind of changed your definition of big. This thing's like 6 1/4, 6.5 inches long. It don't weigh a ton. Although it's not balsa, it's an African hardwood, I believe. So it's not necessarily big compared to these swim baits, but it's big for a jerkbait. And it is my go-to big bass jerkbait to this day. I'm going to keep on doing it. The stories I could tell, I may tell some of them. This thing was invented, the whole jerkbait thing, invented by guys like Jimmy Crisp, Seymour, Missouri. Dick Collier. I talked a while back about fishing with the great Shorty Evans back in the day, and him messing with that jerkbait, that's when he was throwing. He was throwing that big Rapala on a flipping stick and 17-pound line. And y'all ain't never seen nothing like it. I talked about in that video. Swish, swish, swish. Swish. I mean, just crazy. Yanking the slack out of that line, jerking that bait. And he had that humongous 11, 12-pounder fall back to the boat. Which is where I learned about it. That day with Shorty. I mean, I learned so much that day from him, just watching the way he did stuff. It is a big fish bait. 3.5 pounds and up. I say 3.5 because that seems to be where it starts. I've caught short fish on it, caught small fish. I came back to fishing last year, my first tournament ever, right here, Lake of the Ozarks, one of these Tuesday derbies. I threw it a bunch this afternoon. Water temperature was about warm enough, almost. It takes a little warmer water. It's not a finesse jerkbait. And I caught tons of little bass on it and massive. I caught a bunch of 12, 13-inch crappie. Not massive, but nice crappie on it. It broke my heart. I really thought I was going to do something special that day with that bait. Never caught a keeper on it. I don't know why. Things have changed. It is not a finesse jerkbait. It's surely not the Rogue or the Mega Bass 110. I don't care if it suspends. This is a bait for when they're biting. And that generally means about 55-degree water pre-spawn. So in Missouri, early April to mid-April. I've caught them in late March a few times. And actually, then after, later on, it has another thing it's good for too. Actually, sometimes even better yet. You don't play with this bait. You don't twitch it. You don't suspend it. It floats up slower than a balswood bait. It's denser, but it does not suspend. It doesn't have to spin. This thing is a bait that gets in their face and intimidates them because of its size, I believe. My best string ever on it was just short of 26 pounds, my third biggest string ever. It wasn't in a tournament, unfortunately. I've had 23 pounds twice in tournaments with it before. But so many times it put that last bigger fish in the boat for me on days when maybe the fishing wasn't the best, but pre-front's the best. Cloudy, windy day like today with warmer water, don't have no ice around the edges of the lake. And, of course, being jerkbait, clear water. It's, except for the second technique I'm going to talk about, it's a clear water bait. I don't care how clear the water is. And I throw it on 10 or 12 pound tests. Of course, monofilm is all I've ever thrown it on. And I was thinking the other day I did that jerkbait thing a week or two ago. I like a clear line or a green line. I throw a lot of green line on baits like that. I don't know if it helps or not. The confidence with me, green kind of disappears, especially days like today. There's no shine to that green. 10 pounds getting light on it, maybe. 12 pounds getting heavy. So, and I'm throwing it on casting tackle. I'm not going to throw that thing on a spinning rod. There's no reason to. For one thing, I'd throw it to the next lake and have to crank it over several lanes of traffic to get it back. Say, this thing is not a finesse bait. It is a get out there and whammer jammer, stuff it in their face bait. And I'm sure it will still work. It just didn't work for me last year like I hoped it would. We'll have to see. Maybe the most critical thing and one of my issues is the rod I throw this thing on. A 6'10" to a 7-foot rod. Being it's a heavy bait, it's heavy enough. It's a ton to throw that bait. It takes something to make that bait work. Basically a medium action jerkbait style rod with a little tip. But years ago, that's all you hear from me, right? Years ago I had a 7-foot rod I built myself. Now, I'm hesitant because of all the things that are real clear to me from back in the day, some things just are fuzzy. I know I built this rod, whether it was from an existing rod, because I put a different handle on it. I'm pretty sure I built it from scratch. I thought it was a Loomis, but I'm thinking now it's a Lamiglass, which I think a subsidiary company, whatever, with Loomis. And it was a fiberglass glass composite, which maybe, of course, makes it heavy. It kind of makes this bait work. That rod was really critically different than any rod I've ever owned in my life. And maybe there's a I've never seen nothing like it. I've looked for that rod in the last few years. I've went through bundles of old broken rods and stuff. Why don't throw those things away? That rod was fairly stiff. Now, it was parabolic, but it was fairly stiff rod, except the last 10 or 12 inches was just a noodle. I mean, you bend that rod and it went like this on the very end. And it was pretty light. And it did something with this bait that no other rod ever did for me. Actually, I threw like chug bugs and pop-bars on that rod too. We fished a tournament on Truman Lake one day. We did not win that tournament. We finished second. I myself caught 26 keeper bass. I want to say my partner caught 3. Throwing this big jerkbait. Every bass we caught that day come on the big jerkbait. And I'm pretty sure that rod was a big part of it. What it was doing with that bait, and yanking it pretty hard, mid-April, spanking it pretty good. And of course, my buddy, one of the reasons he wasn't getting much fishing time, he was busy calling fish. I caught 2 3.5 pounders one cast once. When they're on this bait, or in the past anyway, when they're on it, they're on it. When it ain't, you got to put it away. I've started the day, that tournament there, I started the day with that bait and never put it down. I don't think I even threw a jig. I threw that bait all day, and it was a good bait. I think we had 19 pounds for our best 5, and we got beat. That rod was special. I'm going to throw it on a medium rod unless the medium heavy has enough tip, and most of them are just too fast. I wish I knew what that rod was. I wish I knew how that rod was made, what it was made for. I just don't remember. Guys, I really have shared something here that I feel like is a secret, so I'm going to share something else with y'all. Just a few days left in Solar Bet's Valentine's Day sale. Awesome. Look at them. Perfect lenses for today. 30% off. And if you use my promo code, DaleV, at checkout, you get free shipping. Check that out, please. I shared something with you. I'm sharing something else that's pretty cool. Links in the description. Click on that. Thank you. So other than the, of course, aforementioned pre-spawn normal big bass bashing type thing, this bait is a crazy good bait during the spawn and after. Now, during the spawn, man, that wind. During the spawn, it's something I haven't done for years. Roland Martin used to do this in Okeechobee and down in Florida. Twitched over top of a big bass on a bed, which I'm not much into bed fish anymore, but it intimidated the fish. And you don't hear anybody ever talking. They're all fishing gitsits or tubes or lizards. Where you leave it on top of that bed for a long time and don't hardly move it. And when the big bass come to it, they come up to it like this. They just go, boosh. And then you got them. But better than that is after the spawn, around here in Missouri, third week of May, the fish kind of get over their stuff. I'm talking big fish. They kind of get over their stuff, and they get to cruising more open water, and especially around grass, if I've got grass. And I throw that bait long ways, and all I do is I just keep twitching it back just under the surface. Twitch, 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 crank, crank the whole time. I had 3 bass over 6 pounds one day doing that a couple years ago. It is a crazy way to catch bass. Boat docks off of spawning flats, just like secondary point boat docks, just coming out of the cove with a fish spawn, throw them and just twitch it past that dock. Just keep yanking it, not fishing it fast, but just keep yanking it underneath the water. It does something and intimidates those fish. That and a swim jig at time of year kind of does the same thing. It just makes those fish bite, and fry garters. But I'm talking about catching the big post-spawn females. It just crazy how well it's worked for me over the years. And then it goes away. I've done it some in the fall. I've had some luck with it in the fall, but it's definitely a springtime bait. Pretty limited use bait. But you give me a day like today, 2 months from now, wind blowing, cloudy, not snowing, not spitting ice. Yeah, you give me a day like that, and I'm going to go to town with this bait. I'm going to catch them on. I'm going to catch them on camera this year. You watch. So I'll bet you there's something there y'all ain't never done. Most people don't know that. It takes them an age. It kind of got to be an Ozark hillbilly to know that. Dick Collier and Jimmy Crisp. They tried to call it Crispin. Instead of jerking rogue, it was Crispin. That was that didn't go very far. It's a crazy good bait. I got like 40 of them. I'm just nuts. I've got 2 or 3 boxes full. And it's just one of those things. I got so much confidence in it when it's working. But again, for me here last year and last two springs, it did not work. Of course, a lot of things didn't work here the last 2 springs. That's a whole other issue, isn't it? Seems to be that way across the country. Something to give a try, y'all. I'll put a link in my Tackle Warehouse. No, I won't. I don't have one of those. See if Tackle Warehouse has them. Give Randy a shot. F18 Rapala, the big one, not the Husky, which I've caught good fish in them too, but the big Rapala. Oh, I'm going to tell one more big fish story on it. You ready for a big fish story? Yes. Palm de Terre Lake, here in Missouri, 7,600 acre impoundment, has muskie lunges. We was fishing there one year in early May. I was not muskie fishing. I was doing the thing. The fish had spawned. I was doing the thing in between. I'm trying to figure out if they'd still bite it. And I was kind of yanking it. It's like the May 8th. I was yanking it on top, and it just disappeared in a freaking whirlpool. And I had me a big old muskie. Now, I don't remember what the state record was then. It probably is still the same now. But there was no doubt in my mind I had a state record muskie on. And sometimes that can be a problem when you're a tournament fisherman. But the marina was right there. I mean, there was a marina. And we had it so far down, that fish, I owned that fish for a while there, and he owned me, and we had it figured out. We were going to get that fish in the boat, and we had done everything but start the motor and take it over there and get me a state record. There's no doubt. That thing was like 7 inches between the eyeballs. It's monster muskie. And of course, muskie are tremendously good fighters and crazy. And I took my time with him. I get him up close to the boat and let him do that one, the crazy last thing they do. And I thought, well, I got away with that. And I come back up, and this muskie has this bait like a dog has a bone. And he comes up next to the boat, and I swear to gosh, he looks up at us, and he opens his mouth. I'm fairly certain I never had a hook in that muskie. Never did. He laid there for a second. I thought my buddy was going to make a dive for him. That'd been funny to see. 45, 48 pound muskie, maybe. It was just, we looked at this fish close several times, clear water. And then he swims away. And I bring my bait in, and it's he's broke it. He's got teeth marks in it. It's crushed. It's not even straight anymore. That muskellunge ruined my big old Rapala. $7 Rapala back in the day. So that's my big fish story on that. Not to mention all the big bass I've caught. Well, that said, I'm going to drive 11 miles back into this wind to the gym and get a workout in because we got apparently about 6 inches of snow coming tomorrow. I want to go fishing so bad. Hope y'all got something out of that. A lot of guys like that Model A deal. I'm going to do another video. I'm not going to do every lure separate. I'm going to do a whole nother video in a few days on a bunch of other stuff like that. Memory stuff. Because sometimes memory is all we got, especially us older guys. Let me know what y'all think. Have y'all thrown this bait? You know what it is? What kind of fish have you caught on it? I'm going to the gym. I'm going to go hurt myself. God bless you guys. Really appreciate you watching. We'll talk at you pretty soon.